opportunity to share my testimony. Usually when I'm up here, I'm usually rapping, freestyling, so this is something different. But I'm just gonna read a little bit of my upbringing that I got written right here. I'm gonna give a backstory on my upbringing. My mother is Filipina. She migrated from the Philippines to Utah. I'm the youngest of 3 sisters. One of my sisters passed away when she was little. On my dad's side, I have a younger sister in Ventura that I've not yet got the opportunity to meet, and a brother that I know nothing about. My mother was married 4 different times. My sister and I all had different dads, so we all had different influences from our dads. My dad was the traumatizer. My dad was the monster that came into my family and left a scarring imprint. I specifically remember him terrorizing my mother and sisters by throwing knives and silverware at them. I can vividly see their fear, cries, and distraught faces. This put a lot of hurt on my mother and sisters, which hindered our family and hindered our growth. At times, I feel like it hindered the love that they were able to feel for me. I was very rowdy and rambunctious as a kid. My mom would always let me know that I'm driving her crazy. I had a hard time settling down and always would run away from home. My family couldn't control me. Looking back now that I'm older, I realized I just needed the right outlets. My mom got influenced to put me on the medication known as Ritalin for a solution. I was only 5 years old. I would refuse it, but my family would literally force it down my throat and eventually begin to hide it in my food. The Ritalin had negative effects on my development, and it was doing more harm than good. My mom began hitting me because I never would listen. What started as so little became a lot. The beatings became more aggressive, which led me to be more confused and anxious at home. I continued to run away from home because I was scared and uncertain. There was no one there to make things clear. I would want to be in my friends' homes where there was a real sense of love and safety. As I continued to run away, my mom started locking me up in the food storage closet while she went to work her shift. My sisters would bring me food and then lock the door right behind them. I started to get tricky and found ways to break away. Then we moved into a new home, and that's when I was introduced to a deadbolt lock. My trickiness was no longer effective. My dad was in and out of my life. When he got out of prison, I started to see him more often. He was involved in a notorious motorcycle club that was well known in Ventura. I started to be exposed to other people who were in and out of prison and their lifestyle being in the motorcycle club. I started seeing naked women, drug use, violence, and a lot of other things that a 9-year-old shouldn't see. I started smoking cigarettes because I thought it was cool and wanted to fit in. Little did I know that the influences were going to have a major impact on my adolescent years. My dad was heavy into his addiction using meth, which made it hard to grow and develop a strong, consistent bond. He started making false promises of having a home with me. He started missing the times I was supposed to meet. I would go to the window when I heard cars drive by, hoping it was him. I was waiting for him to come take me away from the physical abuse that was occurring at home. Things got a little confusing when I started hearing voice notes from my dad saying that he was going to kill me. His drug addiction just got worse. As I got older, I started having trouble with law enforcement and getting incarcerated in my teenage years for marijuana. I eventually started following my dad's patterns and got introduced to the same drug that had such a tight grip on my dad's life. I eventually started to clean up my act and finish probation. I wanted to pursue my music dream. My dad at the time was telling me that he had a place in Santa Barbara where I could move in with him. So I took a Greyhound to Santa Barbara. I met with my dad, and as we began walking, and we never made it to the place that he said we were going to be staying. He walked me to the homeless shelter known as TAF at the time, and said, "I'll see you in the morning, son." I was so confused. I asked if I could go with him, and he said no. So I had my first nights of being homeless in Santa Barbara. Eventually, I got introduced to Noah's Anchorage, and they were able to help me, and they tried to get us into transition house. My dad was still heavy in his addiction and not wanting to clean up, and it made it really hard, you know. At one point, he started blowing the smoke on me, just a lot of things you never thought would happen from your father, just trying to build that relationship, and these certain programs help. They try to, you know, talk to him, try to counsel him. Some days he didn't want to sign the paper to allow me to stay at the youth shelter, and then eventually they helped me get the services that I needed, and so eventually got sent to Lompoc, and I was with the foster family for a little bit of time, and they just always stayed on top of me and stayed in connection. And throughout that, I was just kind of bouncing around Oxnard and all throughout the 805, and I was getting into a lot of trouble as well, still trying to figure things out. They always just had an open door for, you know, with food, for clothes, hygiene, and there's a lot of other youth that I've been able to bring over to their programs that were in some of the transitional housing programs from foster care, and they've really benefited from them as well. And it's just, I really appreciate everyone that contributes to these programs. It means a lot. And there's a lot of kids and a lot of stories even. I see now more of why this is all important and how the Lord's used it and just brought me to other kids as well. And the conversations that we have, and just to be a clear voice to let them know that, we have a safe place, like there's somewhere that we can long to, and there's somewhere where we can trust. And it's opened a lot of doors, and throughout all this, I still had a troubling time. I got involved with certain gangs, just trying to long to places and people, and throughout that, I had a near-death experience, and I was stabbed 13 times, and it was really horrific. It was really hard to conquer and to grow through, and I was super grateful because people that was working at Noah's Anchorage and certain staff actually came and visited me when I was there, and it felt really good to see them and be able to see someone that also knows where I came from, and just to not feel all that judgment. And I've got a lot away from that type of life and made a lot of big changes and stuff, and I knew it wasn't possible if I didn't have them in my corner. And there's also been a lot of other youth that have confided in me where they've been to the point of being on the tracks and wanting to be done with life, and just being able to bring them to these places, it's so big, and it means a lot. And I just really appreciate everyone that contributes to this, because it's powerful, and it's so moving, and it's so important when we feel so lost. I mean, there were so many times where I didn't feel like I was worth it, and I felt worthless, and I felt like everything was broken, and I was just giving up. And I have a lot of friends growing up that committed suicide, and a lot of death that's happened in my life. So these programs brought a lot of life and a lot of opportunities. They got me back involved in school and things of that nature. It's just nice to know that Santa Barbara has a safe place, and where kids can just come and finally feel like okay. And I'm really, really grateful for these programs, and grateful for everyone that does contribute, because it makes a big difference. And words say only so much with what you see happens and the experiences that people have experienced. It just makes it a lot easier. So really appreciate everyone, and thank you for letting me share.